Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with, well, a big box of Boccherini. This is the Brilliant Classics new Boccherini edition. And the real question is how it compares to the Brilliant Classics old Boccherini edition. Now, there's also a video about this. We've talked about this before. This one has 37 CDs. And this one has 52 CDs. So one is bigger than the other. There is the obvious comparison. But we have to see in which ways and which things got replaced and how things got diddled and why and what. And oh my God, it's going to be a project. All right. So you may recall way back at the dawn of time when we talked about this, some of this was based on the Capriccio Boccherini edition. And some of those things may still be in here. I don't know. We're going to compare. We're going to compare them if I can do this and make space and find room. One thing I can tell you right away is I like this box better. It's a nice little box with, that opens sort of normally, and it has a nice little booklet. I mean, it was minimal about Boccherini, like a tiny little booklet. But yes, there is a tiny little booklet. So that's good. Then we have this one, which is one of these suckers, which I don't like because they tend to fall apart. And there is no booklet whatsoever. There's no indication that there's anything about anything, actually, which is sort of like, well, it's cheap. Let's face it. It's just cheap. And there should be some minimal notes or something. Liner notes and sung texts are available online. Okay, so they do have them. They do have them separately somewhere. Now, let us see who's doing what. All right? All right. Let's start at the beginning and compare them. Fortunately, they list the contents on the back. So we have symphonies, CDs 1 and 2, with the new Berlin Chamber Orchestra under Michael Erxleben. I think those were licensed from Capriccio, if I am not mistaken. Let me just take a look. Let me just take a look and we'll see. Okay. There it is. Yep, Capriccio. Yeah, licensed from Capriccio. They're wonderful works, by the way. But there are like 30 some odd Boccherini symphonies, and they should have found a way to get the rest of them in there. I mean, they could get them from CPO, which is the only Boccherini symphony cycle that's currently out there. And that one wasn't even, I think it's complete now. I remember my good friend Antonio de Almeida was tasked with producing the critical edition of the Boccherini Symphony. I believe it was for Doblinger or one of those Viennese publishers. And when I was in France visiting him, he showed me, the work he was doing on them and said, ha, 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 I'm saving one because I want to record them all. I love them. And so I'm not going to give them the complete set. But then they finished it. I mean, he passed away and they got somebody else. I mean, that's what's going to happen because I have all the scores. I have them all separately. And some of them were edited by Almeida and some of them were not. So there you go. Boccherini, by the way, in case you're wondering, was a really first-rate composer of the classical period. But because he was not in Vienna, he was Italian and he was based in Spain, although he worked in Vienna. He worked with Gluck, actually, or he knew Gluck, and they knew each other. And his father was also, they were cellists and they played at one of the Viennese theaters. So he had experience there, but he was Italian, and then he spent most of his career in Spain. And as a result of that, he stands somewhat outside the style of Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven, and he wrote music in a rather different voice. He was not doing classical forms quite the way they were. So everybody craps all over him and says he's, the wife of Haydn and uninteresting and not this and not that. And they're all wrong. They're totally wrong. What you have to do is listen to it. He was a fascinating composer. He was the Richard Strauss of the classical period. He was a chord guy, not a line guy. He was not a contrapuntist particularly. He was into texture and sensuality of sound and extraordinary ranges of dynamics. His scores are meticulously marked and full, just replete with the kind of performance details that you really don't find in the works of the Viennese classics to the same degree. And for that reason, they're fabulous. I mean, he indicates things like vibrato and stuff and ornaments and articulation and dynamics, and his vocabulary, because he was Italian, is extremely rich in descriptive terms. I mean, there's a minuet in one of his quintets marked espressivo vibrato. Yeah, baby. Anyway, so, but of course, nobody pays attention to him. So what can I say? But you should, because the music is exquisitely beautiful, particularly if you like chamber music and you have the time to really listen sensitively. So next we have cello concertos. Let's see, this is CDs 3 through 5. And in this edition, it's cello concertos 3 through 5. Okay, so those are the same. With the Accademia I Filarmonici di Verona. That's it, under Enrico Bronzi. And those are good performances. Those are fun to listen to. The cello concertos are wonderful. There's a whole passel of them. So you've got 3 discs of them there. Then let's see, CD 6 with string sextets. And those are the same here, although they've rearranged the names of the people performing, but they're the same people performing. And the sextets are gorgeous. And they're the first sextets. He invented the string sextet, actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think there are any earlier ones. And, oh, my God, they are lovely and wonderful to hear. Then we have oboe quintets. Yes, oboe quintets on CD 7 with Laios Lenses and the Parisi Quartet. Very, very fine performances also. And then we have the guitar quintets, which are CDs 8 and 9. So you see, so far, we are exactly the same as the previous Boccherini edition, with the same people. In the guitar quintets, it's La Magnifica Comunità. Are they great? Yeah, they're okay. They're okay. Piano quintets, which with ensemble clavier. Let's see, that's CDs 10 through 13. Wow, 3 discs of piano quintets with Ilario Gregoletto and the ensemble claviere. And those are fun. And let's see, they're beautiful works too. I mean, very interesting. I mean, you realize that, you know, there are, he was so multifarious in his chamber output. And he created a lot of the chamber music ensembles that other composers supposedly made famous and theoretically originated, but didn't, because Boccherini did. Boccherini's dates, by the way, were 1743 to 1805. So he was really in the thick of it as a classical period composer. Really was. And just was wonderful. He just wasn't in the center of everything. Let's see. So we have the piano quintets. Then we have string quintets. String quintets with the Magnifica Comunità, CDs 14 through 34. That's a lot of quintets. And here there's CDs 14 through 29. So they've recorded some more of them since this came out. Now, I have to confess, they are a period instrument group, and I am not a fan of their sonority. I think that they are kind of thin and scrapey. They're not terrible. But, you know, Boccherini, like I said, is all about sound and texture and sensuality of texture. And frankly, quite frankly, he sounds vastly better on modern instruments. He really does. I mean, you can do more. That's what modern instruments do. They have a greater range. They may not have a bass sonority that's authentic, whatever that means, but they have a much greater range in terms of dynamics and timbres and things that you can do. Than the early instruments do. So that's the way it goes. Okay, then we've got string quartets. This is only on CD 30. But here, let's see, string quartets, CD 35. We had string quintets. Oh, there were I Virtuosi della Rotonda. Pardon me, there's some other string quintets with other people than La Magnifica Comunità. That's right. I had those separately. Okay, fine. So, and the Rotunda people, I think, are probably a little better than the other ones, but that's okay. Then we've got 1 disc of string quartets. He wrote like 100 and some odd string quartets. And we really need to work on his string quartets because 1 disc of them is CD 35 with Ensemble Symposium. I think that's another Capriccio licensed thing. Isn't going to do it, frankly. So we have, let's see, sonatas for piano and violin in here. And And string quartets. Oh, this is on disc 30. The Ensemble Symposium doing string quartets. Here they had the Peterson String Quartet, and they're wonderful. And this is that was licensed from Capriccio. It's a shame to lose them. Everything the Petersons did is worth hearing. They were a fantastic quartet. They really are. So that's sort of a pity. String quartets with Peterson. Okay, so now we have. All right, now things start to depart from what was in here. Yes. Now we're dealing with things that are totally different. So we have string quartets. Now we get the quintets for flute and string quartet with the Francisco de Goya string quartet and Rafael Ruberes de Torres flute. This is another 3-disc collection. He wrote a bunch of flute quintets. Charming works. There's a limit to how much flute quintetosity I think most of us can tolerate. But, you don't have to listen to them every day. So there you go. Then we've got string trios for 2 violins and cello, which was the same ensemble that Haydn wrote his string trios for, by the way, for the most part. There's one that's violin, viola, and cello. Anyway, so that's CD 39 with the Lubotsky trio. And then we've got violin sonatas. Now I think we're back here where we used to be. Sonatas for piano and violin. Franco Angileri and Enrico Gotti. And here we have totally different people. Oh, wow. Yes, the violin sonatas here, which are 4 discs, 40, 41, 42, 45 discs. Whoa. He wrote tons of violin sonatas. With Igor Ruhadze, Baroque violin, and Alexandra, oh my God, Nepomniashchaya. Forte piano. So it's Alexandra Nepomniashchaya. I think that's it. Nepomniashchaya. I'm proud of that. And Ensemble Violini Capricciosi. Okay. Duos for 2 violins. This is with Igor Ruhadze again and Daria Gorban, the 2 violins. And that's 2 discs of that. I mean, it's... It's like, Telemann's 86 flute solos. I mean, they're didactic pieces. You can listen to them. They're charming. They're cute. They're adorable. Moving right along. Oh, gosh, cello sonatas. 4 discs of those. Let me see. We have cello sonatas here, too, don't we? Cello sonatas. Are they the same people? Yeah, basically they're the same people. CDs 47 through 50, and cello sonatas are CDs 33 through 36. Yes. All right, same number of discs. Then we've got the Aria Academicae. Oh, these are fun. They're not in here. The Aria Academicae are concert arias. It's a collection of concert arias that he wrote while he was in Spain, and they're lovely pieces. They're wonderful, and they were recently published in the Boccherini Complete Edition, and I know that because I have the score, and I also think I worked on the English translation of some of the notes. And some of the things in that edition I worked on. That may have been one of them. I can go look. I have the score. It's down that way. But anyway, they're lovely. So it's wonderful to have these, and they're sung by Sandra Pastrana, with the Orchestra del Istituto Superiore di Studi Musicali Luigi Boccherini di Lucca. Yeah, it's the Lucca Gang under Gianpaolo Mazzoli. A beautiful collection that was done, I'm sure, in connection with the publication of that part of the complete edition, because they're all living in Lucca. They all hang out there. That's where Boccherini is from, and that's where the edition's being made, and that's where all the Boccherini people live, or they don't live there, but they work there. And then we've got the Stabat Mater with Francesca Boncompagni, soprano, and Ensemble Symposium. A beautiful performance of the Stabat Mater. And I think, is that the same as this one? No, they had a different one. They had Barbara Vignudelli and the Orchestra da Camera Benedetto Marcello with Flavio Emilio Scogna. Isn't that helpful? Yeah, so they're different. And this is with the I think the very chamber version of it. There are 2 versions of the Stabat Mater, an earlier one and a later one, and one of them has two soloists, and this is the earlier one with 1 soloist. So is that, but it depends how many strings you want to use. It's written for like a quintet, and you can actually beef it up as necessary. So anyway, that's not the point. The point is we have the new Boccherini edition. Now, if you did not get the old Boccherini edition, and however much I may, disagree with some of the performance approaches of the quintets and the period instrument stuff and whatnot, I still think you should have plenty of Boccherini, because if you care about chamber music, and if you care about music of the classical period, and if you want to hear a truly original and wonderfully distinctive voice, and you have some leisure time, I mean, Boccherini is not one of those classical dynamos. His music is sort of Epicurean. You want to just sort of lay back, let it wash over you, relish all of the succulent textures and sounds he draws from his ensemble. It's ingratiating, lovely, lovely, lovely music. I just think that there's tons of stuff still to be discovered. And in the complete edition that's coming out, and lots of stuff that hasn't been recorded. I mean, he was enormously prolific and really gifted. So get some Boccherini, even if you don't want 52 CDs or 37 CDs. I assume this is going to be out of print, and this is going to be the new thing going forward. And you can get the notes and stuff, in the website with the text and translations, which is a good thing. And yeah, he's worth your time and attention. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.